So, what's the one thing a writer or really any creative person absolutely cannot live without? I'm not talking about a fancy laptop or the perfect pen. It's something much, much deeper. It's kind of like a light for when everything else just goes dark. Let's dig into what that really is. And this image, wow, it just perfectly captures the whole thing, doesn't it? The creative journey is this lonely walk down a long, dark tunnel. You have no idea where it ends. You don't know what's coming next. The only thing you've really got is that little flame in your hand, that belief in yourself that just keeps you putting one foot in front of the other. Which brings us right back to that big question, what is the single most essential tool in a writer's kit? The answer isn't something you're going to find in a book. It's actually hidden in a really powerful memory from a long, long time ago. Okay, so let's jump in our time machine. We're going back to 2008. The scene is a scenario writing class, and it's here that a really simple observation planted a seed that would take almost 20 years to finally fully bloom.
For the writer of this story, 2008 wasn't just another year on the calendar. Oh no, it was this deeply important, formative time. A period filled with discovery and real connection that just left this huge, lasting mark.
So, what was the big deal about 2008? Well, for one, it was the year he met his one and only true mentor. It was a time of just genuine joy and connection with other writers, people on the same journey. And they built these bonds that were so strong, the memories are still super vivid, even 17 years down the road. And in this group of creative people, one person just stood out. He wasn't the most talkative, not the loudest guy in the room, but he had this quiet, powerful presence. And he was a man 12 years older than our author. He was 41. Yeah, 41 years old. Just let that sink in for a second. At an age where a lot of people are totally settled in their careers, there he was, backpack on, in a class with people a decade younger than him, chasing a dream. I mean, that dedication alone is just incredible. And this is the heart of the whole memory. It wasn't some big conversation or a dramatic event. Nope. It was just the sight of this man's back as he walked down a flight of stairs after their very last class. Just a fleeting image, but one that would echo for years and years. Memories are funny things, aren't they? They can just sit there for years, totally quiet, and then, bam! With a little bit of time and life experience, they suddenly show you a whole new layer of meaning you never saw before. 17 years. That's a long time. The memory itself happened way back in 2008, but it's only now, after nearly 2 decades of his own life, his own career, that the author can look back and finally understand what he was really seeing that day. And this slide right here is the key. It's all about the shift in perspective. Back then, his classmate was 41. Today, our author is 46. He's actually 5 years older than his classmate was at the time. He's not some young kid looking up at an older guy anymore. He's looking at him as a peer. And that's the thing, right? It wasn't just the passage of time that made it all click. It was age. It was the lived experience of struggling and pushing and facing his own creative walls. Only then could he really truly put himself in his old classmate's shoes. So what did he see when he looked back? 2 incredibly powerful words: desperation and urgency. And not in a bad way. It was more like this deep, burning fire to create, to get a story out, to make a dream happen against the ticking clock of life. And boom, this is the moment it all clicks into place. The author says, I could finally feel the desperation and urgency he must have carried as a writer, and I found myself bowing my head in respect. The memory wasn't just a picture anymore. It became a feeling, this profound weight of understanding and just deep admiration. So where does this all lead? What's the big takeaway from this simple image of a man's back walking down some stairs 17 years ago? It's something the author calls the writer's stance. That quiet walk down the stairs, it wasn't just him leaving a room. It was the physical embodiment of this deep internal grit. It was the outward sign of an absolutely unshakable belief in himself and the path he was on. And that brings us right back here, to this solitary walk. To get through the grueling, the uncertain, the often lonely process of making something new, the number one thing you need is trust in yourself. You have to be your own light in the dark. So here's the bottom line. It's about carrying this deep, heavy belief, a belief that you and only you can see this thing through to the end, that you have to be the one to just walk silently, stubbornly through that dark road, trusting that there's an other side. That is the writer's most essential tool. So I want to leave you with this question. We all have our own creative journeys, right? Our own dark tunnels to get through, whether we're writers or artists or entrepreneurs or whatever. So what's your tunnel? And more importantly, what's that belief, that little stubborn flame that's going to light your way through it?